We're told economics is about solutions, and we're told it's supposed to solve inflation and poverty and create endless growth. But nature doesn't give you solutions, it gives you balance, and you get this balance through sacrifice. Take, for example, biology. If you want strength, you lose speed. If you want to heal, you need inflammation. Or look at physics. In physics, energy doesn't appear, it transfers. In economics, you don't get a fix, you get a cost. There are no solutions, there are only trade offs. And every gain has a shadow, if you will. So every policy promises progress. But again, behind every gain, someone quietly is paying the price for it. Let me give you an example. Let's say the demand for meat skyrockets. So more cattle's raised and the leather prices go up. So suddenly your son's baseball glove costs 40% more. You want a steak, but you paid in sports equipment. That's the trade off. It's unintended, it's invisible, but it's very real. And again, if you fix one problem, you likely just break another. So let me give you some examples. You raise the minimum wage. Some people get a raise, others get automated out of a job essentially. If you want rent control or you want to freeze rent, the rent stays low, which is great, but then the housing development collapses. Let's say you want to print more money to stimulate spending. Okay, great, but that erodes savings. And if you want free college, it's going to help a lot of people, but it's also going to alienate those who pay their way through college or didn't even go at all. So for every yes, it creates a no for someone else that neither they nor you voted for. And the reality is that nothing scales without sacrifice. So think about it. Behind every booming industry is a system bleeding somewhere else. You could look at the automotive industry, for example. Companies offshore production to cut costs. And of course, the consumers win in this case, right? Because you only pay $40,000 for a truck. But the small town factories, they close. And the generational labor that they provided also disappears. But you get a cheaper Ford. But at the same time, a machinist in Ohio, he loses his job and his purpose in life, if you will. You can look at things like retail. Look how awesome Amazon is, right? Amazon offers instant convenience, but it also killed, the cool little local bookstore, the corner shops, and the malls. That's the trade-off. We got scale and speed, but we lost community and resilience. But you save $10 in a drive. But that downtown strip mall went bankrupt. Look at things like healthcare. Look at the US model. We have speed, specialization, tech, but it has high cost and inequality. And now take a look at the universal models, like in the Nordic countries. They have equality, but it's very slow, right? The system's very slow, it's underfunded, and sometimes in some of these countries, it's on triage. So you can't get speed, fairness, and quality at once. You pick two. That's not bad design. That's the price of access, if you will. And nature doesn't do free lunches either, right? Look at biology. More strength, great. You're stronger, but you're less flexible. You want a strong immune response, okay, good. But you're going to get inflammation and fatigue. That's how you fight off a cold and a flu. You want long life, you're going to have a slower metabolism and slower recovery. Look at energy systems, right? Look at oil. Oil equals power, but it creates pollution. Solar's clean, but it's intermittent. In nuclear, it's dense, but it has long-term risk, which could be very dangerous. So nature doesn't give gifts, it trades, and so does economics. And of course, there's a silent cost you don't see until it's too late. I'll give you a perfect example of this. We subsidize corn here in the US. Got cheap food, but we had an obesity crisis. We also have cheap credit, and the housing market boomed, but then it crashed. Perfect example, 2008. Global manufacturing, right? The profits rose, but the skills disappeared. And then, if you have things like, debt forgiveness, it relieves some, but it divides others because the bill is always paid. It just gets passed or deferred or hidden. So the systems must admit that there's sacrifices if you want one. So for example, if you want free healthcare, you're going to have to accept wait times or higher taxes, either or. If you want cheap energy, You got to accept environmental degradation, essentially. And if you want innovation at scale, you have to accept automation and some social disruption. Technically, you can have anything, you just can't have everything. And this is some of the truths that you won't hear a lot of, the talking heads in the media say. Because in politics, everyone sells solutions. In protests, everyone demands answers. And in the media, everything sounds urgent and fixable and simple. But in real economics, again, there are no solutions, only trade offs. There's trade offs in money, in labor, in culture, in time, and in meaning. You can fix a problem, but the pressure just moves somewhere else. And if you're not seeing the cost, you're probably not the one paying for it. So we need to stop asking what's the solution and start asking what's the cost? Who pays it? How long can the system carry it before it cracks? Because in the end, the only real perfect system is the one you haven't lived in yet. So I hope that was informative, guys. And like always, remember to lift more, eat more, rest more, love more, and hate less. Thank you, guys.